Meeting is called to order at 6 o'clock. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you very much. Clerk, could you call the roll?
Yes. Trustee Kelly.
Here.
Trustee Boynton. Here. Trustee Martin. Here. Trustee Frazier. Here. Trustee Bud.
Here.
The clerk is present. Supervisor,
Here.
we have a quorum.
Thank you. I need a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Are you gonna do the summary or?
Oh, I gotta do this summary. Okay. The consent agenda today includes the board meeting minutes, the prepaid list, the voucher list, the approval of resolution 2607, which is a stormwater maintenance agreement with Zippy Auto Wash. Approval of resolution to the agreement with MDOT for safety improvements at Belleville Road and Quirk Road. Approval of resolution recognizing Michigan Against Atomic Waste as a nonprofit within the Van Buren Township municipality. This is in order to obtain a charitable gaming license. And approval of the public service agreements for Garrett Bryce, Brooklyn Little, and Brianna Shipley, which we're happy to add to our family, and we'll be thanking them later. There'll be a presentation today by a circuit court judge, Judge Anderson. Don't get circuit court judges very often, and we're honored to have her, Judge Anderson. We also have today a proclamation for Apraxia Awareness Day, and we'll be doing that presentation. New business includes discussion on a special land use request for L Car Wash to construct a drive-through car wash on Belleville Road. We'll also have selection of the Manikin Smith Group for the Parks and Recreation Master Plan update in the amount of $25,000, and discussion on the selection of Fishbeck to perform closed-circuit television sanitary sewer inspection services. Discussion also will be on selection of PLM Lake and Land Management Corp., which will perform an aquatic weed treatment on Belleville Lake in the amount of $56,000, and discussion on the selection of aqua weed control to perform phosphorus inactivation treatment on Belleville Lake in the amount of $14,000. There'll be a discussion on an ordinance to change the maximum cul-de-sac length for site condominium developments, and discussion on an ordinance to change zoning regulations pertaining to car wash developments. Discussion will also be on an ordinance to update the Yucca sanitary sewer rules, and discussion on an ordinance amendment regarding temporary land use approvals for fireworks tents. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Trustee Kelly.
Move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Trustee Kelly, would you like to make a motion to do the consent agenda and approve it?
Yes, I move to adopt the consent agenda consisting of board meeting minutes of April 7th, prepaid list of April 9th, prepaid list of April 16th, voucher list of April 21st, prepaid list of April 23rd, prepaid list of April 30th, and voucher lists of May 5th, all from 2026. Approval of resolution 2026-7, a resolution for the long-term maintenance of stormwater management system at Zippy Auto Wash, 11600 Belleville Road. Approval of resolution 2026-12, agreement between MDOT and Van Buren Township, contract number 265163 for the completion of safety improvements at Belleville Road and Quirk Road. Approval of resolution 2026-13, a resolution to recognize Michigan Against Atomic Waste as a nonprofit operating within the township to obtain a charitable gaming license, and approval of the personal services agreement for Garrett Bryce, Brooklyn Little, and Brianna Shipley.
Support by Trustee Boynton. Hearing no discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Before we begin, we have three new family members that are joining our Van Buren Township family. Garrett Bryce, Brooklyn Little, and Brianna Shipley. Could you guys come up and say hi to us here? And if you want to bring your, anybody you want to bring, you go on. Come on, you start right off. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Patience pays off.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, patience pays off, huh?
Thanks. Did you guys want to get pictures? Family up here? Yeah, bring your family up. You guys come on up if you're with any of these three wonderful people. Get them in the middle.
Bring your
Get 'em in
flowers.
the middle, so you get them in the Brianna,
Jesse,
bring it.
Jesse, bring your
Bring it
flowers.
right in here.
Your
so we get
flowers.
this, and we can slide if you guys want around. Come on in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then get that family up here. We don't do this very often.
Where's get your daughter, Bree.
She doesn't want to come.
Oh,
Okay. All right. Yeah, good.
Jesse, stand up there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome, you guys. Next, we're going into correspondence, announcements, and presentations. We're going to begin with Clerk Wright.
Oh, you beginning with me, okay.
Yeah?
So, yesterday I learned that, yesterday was National Firefighter Awareness Day. So, if I can get back to my packet. So I just wanted to say something real quick regarding firefighters and what they do here on a daily basis. They are the ones that does extraordinary things, ordinary people that does extraordinary things. We honor the men and women who answer the call without hesitation, whether it's a fire, an accident, a moment of crisis. They show up, ready to help, ready to protect, ready to serve. Firefighters don't do the work for recognition. They do it because they care deeply about their communities. They train hard, they work long hours, face unpredictable danger, all to make sure that we can rest and feel safe. We also recognize the family who support them, the ones who wait, the ones who worry, and the sacrifices that come with the profession. So today we say thank you. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your commitment, your selfishness. The service does not go unnoticed and will never be taken for granted. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call up Third Circuit Court Judge, Judge Anderson. Judge is going to talk to us about the Third Circuit Court. It's nice to have a Circuit Court judge here and in the friendly terms.
All right, good evening to everyone. Again, my name is Sharice Anderson. I'm a judge of the Third Circuit Court. I'm assigned to the Criminal Division, and I just want to talk to you for a few minutes regarding the court. I want to let you know that we are committed at the Third Circuit Court to engage the community throughout Wayne County. And so if you ever have a need for a judge to come and speak for any of your events, anything having to do with the law, apprising people of how the laws impact them, we certainly are available to do so. We want you all to know that we are emphasizing having access to justice for everyone. We have many annual events that we put on. We have our Adoption Day where we celebrate those that are being adopted. We have our reunification day. Our reunification day is when we get to those who have been engaged in the foster care system, when they get to come back and reunify with their families. We celebrate that day. We also celebrate the new lawyers swearing in. Some of the pictures you can see on the PowerPoint. There are also, I believe, copies of the PowerPoint at the table here. And we also have a law day. We have had in 2025 approximately 220,861 Wayne County residents that were summoned for jury duty. The feedback from the jurors overall has been that it's been a positive experience. In particular, the criminal division has moved to a new building. It's called the Criminal Justice Center. And so if you're familiar with the old Frank Murphy building, we have moved to the Criminal Justice Center, as you see there on the PowerPoint, and it is located at 5301 Russell Street in the city of Detroit. It's basically off of the I-75 Service Drive in Warren. Most jurors spend approximately 2 to 3 days if they're called for jury duty. What has been reported is that there's more space at the Criminal Justice Center. There's advancement in technology. The jury deliberation rooms are more comfortable. So that's some of the feedback we have received. I will point out that this week we are actually doing our satisfaction survey. And so those litigants who log on to Zoom or who come into the courtroom are able to use a QR code where they can give their feedback about their experience with the Third Circuit Court. That feedback will be used to improve how we engage the community. The Third Judicial Circuit Court is the trial court, and it sits above the district court, the probate court, and the municipal courts. Any decisions from the circuit court can be appealed to the Michigan Court of Appeals, and if you're not satisfied at the Michigan Court of Appeals level, in certain circumstances, you can then also appeal to the Supreme Court. The Court of Claims hears cases against the state of Michigan agencies. The Circuit Court, I'll get into more detail shortly. The District Court hears traffic offenses, misdemeanor cases, landlord, tenant issues. The probate court deals with issues involving wills, estate planning, guardianships, conservatorships, things of that nature. In terms of the municipal court, we have 4 of those. They're all in the Grosse Pointe area, and they're all of limited jurisdiction. We also want you all to be aware that we are having plans to celebrate the 250th birthday as a Union of the United States. We'll be engaging in activities throughout the duration of the year. And we note that, of course, the Declaration of Independence did not create the courts, but it did declare the principles that demand a fair, independent, and accessible system of justice. I note that the federal judiciary was formally created by Article 3 of the United States Constitution. The Judiciary Act of 1789 creates the structure of the federal courts, and Article 3 establishes our Supreme Court, the authority for Congress to create lower federal courts, and judicial power over cases arising under the Constitution and federal law. We note that in Michigan, we have 10 million types of diverse people of different races, different cultures, different languages, ethnicities, religions, and of course, different points of view. And we look forward to celebrating all of those throughout the duration of the year in honor of the 250th birthday of the United States. The mission of the Third Circuit Court is to serve the community by providing accessible and equal justice for all. And our vision is to be an exemplary and innovative court, leading with integrity and providing justice and public service. And so the Third Circuit Court has about 60 judges. They have more than about 25 referees, more than 500 total employees, and our normal business hours are between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. We have 4 locations. The first location is known as the KMAC building, the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. It's located on Woodward Avenue in the city of Detroit, and it deals with our civil and family domestic cases. We also have the Lincoln Hall of Justice, which sits on off of Forest and Warren, off of I-75. It handles certain family matters and juvenile matters. And as I mentioned previously, we do have our new Criminal Justice Center, which sits on Russell Street, as well as the Penobscot Building, which deals with all friend of the court cases. The Wayne County Circuit Court is funded by both the state of Michigan and the county of Wayne, and we work in conjunction with the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. The Wayne County Sheriff's Office is who is responsible for the security within our court building. It is also responsible for the inmates in the jail. The Criminal Justice Center is a building that has different annexes, and one of them is the Wayne County Sheriff's Department. That's where they are housed. There's an annex for the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, and there is the Court Administration Building, which is where the court is, as well as the Clerk's Office. The Clerk's Office is, of course, the keeper of all of the records for the Third Circuit Court. In the Third Circuit Court, we have 4 divisions, as previously mentioned: the Civil Division, Criminal Division, Family Domestic, and Family Juvenile. In the Civil Division, those judges handle lawsuits involving monetary damages that are over $25,000. They also handle contract disputes, property matters, and election matters. The Criminal Division, of course, handles adult felonies that have been bound over from all of our local courts, and they also handle criminal appeals from district court. The Family Domestic Division handles divorce, child support, custody issues, parenting time, personal protection orders, and what we refer to as ERPOs. And ERPOs, we just passed a law, I believe it was in February of 2024, that allows for individuals to petition to temporarily have firearms removed from individuals. If you believe that they may be a danger to themselves or a danger to others, you can petition the court to have these type of protection orders, to have those firearms removed. Those orders usually remain in effect for 1 year, but they can be extended depending on what the issues are. And the Family Domestic Unit also handles the friend of the court. Now, with the ERPOs, we do have judges that are on call 24/7, including weekends and holidays, to deal with these types of petitions if an emergency situation does arise. In the Family Juvenile Division, the judges hear juvenile delinquency matters for all of those under the age of 18, child protection matters, adoption matters, guardianship matters, and truancy. The court does get involved if there are issues with students who are failing to have appropriate attendance while at school. We note that the Third Circuit Court is the busiest circuit court in Michigan. And in terms of our statistical data, appeals and reviews for the year 2025 included 552 cases. In our civil division, there were 20,125 cases filed in 2025. In our criminal division, 7,694 cases. In the family division, 28,371 cases, for a total of 56,742 cases. One of our primary goals is to provide access to justice, which is something we do every day in the busiest court in the state. The sheer volume of work handled by this court is substantial. In 2024 alone, we saw over 59,000 new cases filed. We saw a significant increase in case filings in the family domestic unit, the civil unit as well. And so if there is ever a need for you to want to engage further with the Third Circuit Court, we can be reached at our email communications@3rdcc.org. If you have any programming with respect to the community, students, that you feel like it would be helpful to have a judge present to maybe go over any laws that impact citizens in your community, certainly the Third Circuit Court and I personally would be available to engage the community in that way. And this does conclude my presentation. If there are any questions regarding the Third Circuit Court that I can answer at this time, I certainly would be happy to take them. And I do apologize for having my back to the rest of the community, but I appreciate you listening to the presentation. Any questions?
Thank you. I know that I've been down to your new facility twice now for jury duty, and I've been for years gone down for jury duty. They treated me so nicely. They were really wonderful. They treated everybody nicely. They do surveys through there. They follow up. I've talked to people through mental health and through custody and foster care. They tell me that your computer system has been updated and it is wonderful and it's working now and it's great. I haven't heard so much goodwill toward the courts ever. And thank you for whatever it is you're doing to change that, but it's working out well, I think.
I appreciate that. I certainly will let jury services know because they're always looking to get feedback on how the experience has been. So thank you for that. All right.
Any questions? No? Thank you, Judge. Okay. Next, we have Ashley Shukat. We have a presentation for a proclamation for apraxia awareness. And Don Boynton, would you do the honors of reading the?
Sure thing.
Come on up. We'd like to hear about apraxia. Don can read this, and then you could speak about it. Okay?
Proclamation for Apraxia Awareness Day. Whereas on May 14th, 2026, marks Childhood Apraxia of Speech Day, during which awareness will be raised throughout Van Buren Township about childhood apraxia of speech, an extremely challenging speech disorder that affects 1 in 1,000 children. Whereas childhood apraxia of speech, or also known as CAS, causes children to have significant difficulty learning to speak and is among the most severe speech defects in children. Whereas the act of learning to speak comes effortlessly to most children, those with apraxia require early, appropriate, and intensive speech therapy, often for many years, to learn to speak. Whereas without appropriate speech therapy intervention, children with apraxia will have diminished communication skills, but are also placed at high risk for secondary impacts in reading, writing, spelling, and other school-related skills. Whereas that such primary and secondary impacts diminish future independence and employment opportunities and challenge the ability to become productive, contributing citizens if not resolved or improved. Whereas public awareness about childhood apraxia of speech in Van Buren Township is essential for families of children with this neurological disorder and the professionals who support them to achieve the needed services for those learning to use their own voice. Whereas our highest respect goes to these children as well as their families for their effort, determination, and resilience in the face of such obstacles. Therefore, let it be resolved that May 14th, 2026 is Apraxia Awareness Day. Of Van Buren Township and surrounding areas are encouraged to work within their communities to increase awareness and understanding of childhood apraxia of speech.
Thank you. He's saying, "Oh, Mom."
I'm not either.
Would you like to say anything? No? Okay.
Okay.
Did.
Yeah.
Could you, Ashley?
Okay. So we this year wanted to make sure the school speech pathologists were able to get in contact with the families, and we've been really blessed and been able to have other community members reach out to us and say, "Hey, my kid has apraxia," and like I never even knew anybody else did, and so. We're just kind of forming groups and getting the schools, within respect to privacy, to families, right? getting more access out here, more screening and more resources, because when he was little, we had to drive all over to make sure that he was able to get the supports that he needs. So we want to bring that here. So we're going to bring this back to the school this year. Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you. Mom, let me sit down, he's saying. Bye, thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to make correspondence, announcement, or presentation? No? Public comment on unfinished and new business, matters that are before the board at this moment. Is there anybody that wishing to make public comment at this time? Seeing no, we have no unfinished business, we're into new business. First item is to consider the recommendation of the Planning Commission of the special land use request from L Car Wash to construct a drive-through car wash at 10525 Belleville Road. Can I get a motion? Actually, why don't we go with Ron and then we'll go to the motion? Is that okay?
Fine.
Okay.
So the application before you is a special land use request for a drive-through car wash at 10525 Belleville Road. The application was before the Planning Commission on April 8th, 2026, where a public hearing was held. The township Township Planning Commission, received comments and written responses in opposition to the development, all of which have been included in the board packet. After review, the Planning Commission recommended that the Township Board deny the special land use request. The motion and rationale for the recommendation are in the meeting minutes, which is also in your board packet. So this concludes my overview of the summary, and I certainly can answer any questions. There is a representative from the applicant. His name is Jeff Schusel. I apologize. Jeff Schusel, he is the legal counsel for El Car Wash. He did indicate he wanted to come up and give an overview of the request for the board. So Jeff, please take it away.
Thank you very much. It's Jeff Schlussel. It's butchered by most people. So I'm an attorney at Carson Fisher in Bloomfield Hills, and Mr. Supervisor and the rest of the board really appreciate giving the opportunity to present tonight. I'm here with August Eschador from Stonefield Engineering. He's going to take a few minutes and just to give you an overview of the proposed development, which includes the car wash along with additional commercial space, if you haven't had a chance to see what we're proposing to be developed at the site. And then I'm going to talk for a few minutes regarding the special use. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Like Jeff said, my name is August Escador with Stonefield Engineering. We're located in Birmingham, Michigan, 555 South Old Woodward. Our application here for development, there's a vacant piece of land just south of the Mire on Belleville Road. If you were to go up Tyler Road and turn right, across from that Taco Bell just north of the Bell Tire there. We're proposing a multi-tenant commercial development here in the south with some proposed restaurant and retail along with a drive-through restaurant use. And then north of that, we're proposing car wash on behalf of the applicant here. 24 vacuum spaces. We meet all ordinance requirements for stacking, parking, lighting, everything like that. Landscaping, I would like to highlight as well, is kind of the big thing here that we like to show off. We're proposing over 100 trees, over 400 shrubs, really bringing that natural character that Van Buren Township kind of has already into our site. Just overall, we've worked very closely with staff. This site plan has gone through several iterations. I know we're not here for site plan, but it kind of shows our willingness to work with staff. We've reduced tenants, we've added green space. So we've really tried to come up with the best solution, and we're really excited to be here in Van Buren Township in this great community, and hopefully bring a great development here. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're here tonight to request that the Township Board reconsider the denial by the Planning Commission and approve the special land use as provided under the ordinance section 12.306.
that requires that the planning commission, if the special use meets the criteria set forth in section 12.306, despite what is reflected in the minutes from the planning commission, that states that the decision is discretionary in nature, Michigan case law holds differently. The decision may not be arbitrary nor ignore the ordinance criteria. If the criteria and the standards are met, the municipality must approve the requested special land use. As I'll demonstrate in the next couple minutes, the applicant has met and satisfied all the section 12.306 standards based on the data that was presented at the meeting. And I'm going to go through all 9 criteria. I'm going to try to get through them with some speed. The first is that the proposed development will promote the use of land in a socially and economically desirable manner for those persons who will use the proposed land use or activity, for those landowners and residents who are adjacent, and for the township as a whole. This discussion at the Planning Commission regarding this specific standard seemed to revolve around the traffic issue on Belleville Road. And as was noted in the traffic report submitted by my client, the applicant, Fleiss and Vanderbrink, the traffic engineers, concluded that the design and use of the proposed development will not materially increase traffic on Belleville Road. We recognize that at times Belleville Road is congested, but this proposed development won't affect that issue. Additionally, the development is designed with an internal access drive to further relieve any undue stress on Belleville Road. Regardless of whether the special land use is granted or the site plan is approved, the issues facing Belleville Road will remain. The township shouldn't deny the special use on a pre-existing issue in which the development will have no significant impact. That's the first criteria. Second criteria is it necessary for the public convenience at that location? While the concern was raised at the Planning Commission that the township is saturated with car washes, the numbers don't necessarily bear that out. In addition to all those vehicles that come from outside the borders of the township, there are approximately 10,000 homes in Van Buren Township, which according to compiled data, each home owns approximately 2 cars. It is also estimated that 66% of all vehicle owners wash their cars at least twice per month. Given these numbers alone, it is arguable that there's a significant demand for car washes, including the L Car Wash, and each will thrive in the township. Additionally, the proposed location around the township's commercial hub creates convenience and amenities for its residents and those shoppers to provide the new dining options and a modern state-of-the-art car wash. The third criteria is it compatible with adjacent land uses? The addition of an auto wash and retail food service establishment is fully compatible with the township's prior approval of similar uses with comparable intensity, hours, and off-site impacts, including fast food restaurants on the west side of Belleville Road. 4, if the development is so designed, located, and proposed to be operated that the public health, safety, and welfare will be protected. The design layout and accessibility of the development are grounded in considerations of public health, safety, and welfare. In addition to the improvements in landscaping, as was noted by August, and the state-of-the-art car wash facilities, the site plan has been designed to avoid undue adverse impacts on adjoining properties with respect to noise, traffic, glare, and hours of operation. All mechanical equipment associated with the car wash, including the wash tunnel, will be fully enclosed, and the vacuum stations will utilize low-noise equipment and be located away from nearby residential development. Internal circulation within development is designed to ensure safe and convenient pedestrian access. 5, that the development can be adequately served by public services and facilities without diminishing or adversely affecting public services and facilities to existing land uses in the area. It's known that public water, sanitary sewer, and related utilities are available at the site and are adequate to serve the proposed car wash and the retail and restaurant uses within the commercial building. In particular, the auto wash will include a water reclamation system that will substantially reduce the township storm drainage system. Police and fire protection are already provided to the existing commercial corridor, and the proposed use will not materially increase demand for such services beyond that's already associated with comparable code-compliant commercial tenants within this overlay district. 6, it will not cause injury to other property located in the neighborhood in which it is to be located. As I just mentioned, the sound mitigation equipment and strategic positioning of the mechanical and operations is designed to avoid any impact on adjacent properties. The proposed amenities and uses, a car wash, restaurants, and a public plaza area, enhance rather than detract the offerings and benefits to the neighborhood and residents of Van Buren Township. Number 7, that the development will consider the natural environment and help conserve natural resources and energy. The development is proposing a robust landscape plan that exceeds the township requirements. But more importantly, El Car Wash is committed to limiting environmental impacts. It invests in the most efficient technologies and innovations, uses environmentally safe detergents and state-of-the-art water regulating and reclamation systems. As was mentioned, and that is included in the minutes, it recycles approximately 90% of the water used. Excuse me. The car wash, which wasn't correctly stated at the meeting, at the Planning Commission meeting, uses only 20 gallons per auto wash. I think the engineer misstated the amount, so it's 20. It's not any higher than that, while people who typically wash their cars at home use approximately 100 gallons, as do older car washes. Number 8, the development is within the provisions of uses requiring special approval as set forth in the various zoning districts herein, is in harmony with the purposes and conforms to the applicable regulations of the zoning district in which it is to be located, and meets applicable site design standards for special approval uses. As was noted even in the township's outside report from McKenna, the proposed development complies with this standard. And likewise, the last standard, McKenna also noted that the proposed development's in compliance. I'll read the standard, which is it's related to the valid exercise of the township's police power and purposes which are affected by the proposed use or activity. And I am happy to answer any questions, as well, August, if you have any.
Does the board have any questions? We've got that stuff in our packet, so. Trustee Martin, did you want to make the?
Sure.
Thank you.
I would like, excuse me, I'd like to make a motion to deny application 25-025 for the special land use request for L Car Wash to construct a drive-through car wash at 10525 Belleville Road based on the following findings. A, the analysis and specific concerns provided in the review letters from McKenna and Associates dated March 10, 2026, Fishbeck dated March 10, 2026, and the Van Buren Township Fire Department dated March 9, 2026. B, noting the feedback and concerns received during the public hearing from residents, members of the business community, and adjacent landowners. C, the Board of Trustees finds that the application does not comply with Section 12.306 of the Van Buren Township zoning ordinance, which are the standards for granting special approval. D, the Board of Trustees finds that the requested use of a car wash in an already served area where the use could create significant adverse effects in that location, including traffic congestion, water runoff into the public streets, noises that are incompatible with adjacent residential areas. E, the Board of Trustees finds the multiple drive-through nature of their proposal is not intended to be pedestrian-friendly, is not conforming to the purposes of the Belleville Road Overlay District or the master plan, and requesting special use for 2 separate activities in the same facility, a car wash and a drive-through restaurant, either of which could be detrimental to other permitted land uses when considered alone, are far more likely to give rise to need problems with respect to their impact on neighboring properties when considered together.
Support.
F, I'm sorry, just give me it's gonna be a minute. F, the board specifically incorporates and adopts and will attach to this motion its statement of findings and conclusions, which provides as follows. And this is a lengthy statement of findings, so bear with me. This statement of findings and conclusions is submitted for consideration and possible adoption by the Charter Township of Van Buren Township Board of Trustees, known as the Board, regarding application VBT 25-025, Special Land Use Review Number 3 by L Car Wash MI Belleville LLC, who is the applicant, for 10525, 10501, and 10401 Belleville Road. The property is within the Belleville Road Overlay District and is Zone C1 General Business District. The applicant requests special land use approval for an express automatic exterior car wash with self-serve vacuums and a commercial building with 1 retail and 2 restaurant tenant spaces, including 1 drive-through as shown on the revised site plan dated February 18, 2026. Following the April 8, 2026 public hearing, the Planning Commission voted to recommend denial based on issues identified in the McKenna and Associates review letter dated March 10, 2026, with consideration of the Fishbeck letter dated March 10, 2026, the Van Buren Township Fire Department letter dated March 9, 2026, and public comments, and found the request did not satisfy the SLU standards in section 12.306 of the zoning ordinance. The record considered the applicant's SLU application materials for VBT 25-025, including the revised site plan dated February 18, 2026, McKenna and Associates Special Land Use Review Number 3 letter to the Planning Commission dated March 10, 2026, including references to the Fleiss and Vanderbrink traffic study and the applicant's market study. Fishbeck letter dated March 10, 2026, Van Buren Township Fire Department letter dated March 9, 2026, Planning Commission proceedings and public input from April 8, 2026 hearing, including the motion recommending denial, excuse me, as reflected in the April 29, 2026 memorandum from Ron Akers to the board. The applicable standards. Section 3.111, parentheses C of the Van Buren Township zoning ordinance permits auto wash establishments and drive-through restaurants as special land uses in the C1 General Business District. Section 12.306 of the zoning ordinance sets forth the criteria that must be satisfied for approval of a special land use. In addition, because the property is within the Belleville Road Overlay District, the board considers whether the proposed use and site designs are consistent with the BROD's purpose and the township's planning policies as referenced in the McKenna letter, including the master plan future land use designation of the Belleville Road corridor as gateway commercial. The findings of fact. The board finds the proposal concentrates multiple auto-oriented high-traffic uses on an approximately 3.13 acre site, including car wash, vacuums, and a building with 1 retail and 2 restaurant tenant spaces, including a drive-through. McKenna indicates this intensity would generate traffic substantially greater than other BROD sites of comparable size, and the record does not provide competent material evidence demonstrating that resulting circulation and economic impacts will promote a socially and economically desirable land use for adjacent properties or the township. Citing the McKenna letter, criteria 1. The board further finds the public benefit of an additional car wash at this location is not established because several auto wash facilities already operate within approximately 3 miles. McKenna also identifies deficiency in the applicant's market study assumptions regarding convenience relative to nearby competitors. McKenna letter reference criteria 1. Necessity for public convenience at that location. The board finds the record does not show the car wash use is necessary for public convenience at this location. McKenna identifies an existing car wash less than 1/2 mile north of the property and another new facility approximately 3/4 of a mile south with additional modern facilities nearby. Once the McKenna letter criteria 2 was cited. The applicant, excuse me, has not provided persuasive location-specific evidence of unmet demand. Therefore, criteria 2 is not satisfied. C, compatibility with with adjacent uses of land. The board finds that while the Belleville Road corridor includes commercial and service uses, the proposed site configuration raises compatibility concerns because it clusters multiple auto-oriented, traffic-heavy uses with shared access drives. McKenna Letter, Criteria 3. The car wash is immediately south of Westlake Apartments, and the site is near residentially zoned property to the east, increasing the potential for conflicts related to traffic circulation, noise, and operational effects, referenced by the McKenna Letter Criteria 4 and 6 in the Planning Commission motion. D, protection of public health, safety, and welfare. Traffic and safety. The board finds the traffic study referenced in the McKenna Letter indicates the site drive would operate at LOSD or better during certain peak hours, except the left turn operating at LOSE during the PM peak. McKenna Letter Criteria 1. The study recommends a right turn lane along northbound Belleville Road at the site drive, and the record does not clearly establish what operational restrictions or roadway improvements would be required to avoid unsafe or congested conditions. The Planning Commission motion also identifies potential for significant adverse traffic effects, including congestion, noise, operational impacts, and runoff. The board finds the applicant's assertion that equipment and vacuum stations will be low noise is not supported by noise generation information in the record, and the wash tunnel will be open on both ends during operation. Referencing McKenna Letter Criteria 4 and 6. The Planning Commission motion identifies incompatible noise impacts on adjacent residential areas and the pedestrian environment, and concerns regarding water runoff in public streets. The record does not demonstrate the use is designed and proposed to be operated to protect public health, safety, and welfare. E, no injury to other property in the neighborhood. The board finds the BROD is intended to support a mix of businesses and a pedestrian-friendly environment, citing McKenna Letter Criteria 6. The intensity of uses on the property, unresolved traffic questions, and a lack of supporting noise documentation create a reasonable likelihood of adverse impacts on nearby properties and the corridor, citing McKenna Letter Criteria 4 and 6 Planning Commission motion also. McKenna further references DDA data showing heavy traffic and accident history in the BROD and calls for these issues to be addressed. The board finds they remain inadequately addressed. McKenna Letter Criteria 6. F, natural environment and conservation of natural resources. The board finds McKenna identifies substantial tree removal, including regulated trees, and discrepancy in the landscape plan regarding replacement counts and calculations, referencing the McKenna Letter Criteria 7. The record does not clearly demonstrate compliance with applicable tree replacement expectations. Therefore, Criteria 7 is not satisfied. G, harmony with zoning district purposes, BROD, and applicable regulations. The board finds that although a drive-through restaurant and auto wash are eligible for SLU approval in the C1 district, the master plan designates the Belleville Road corridor as gateway commercial, intended for retail and office uses, citing the McKenna Letter Criteria 8, citing master plan, page 57. The proposal's auto-centric components and clustering of high traffic uses are inconsistent with the BROD's pedestrian-oriented intent and raise site design, traffic, and circulation concerns identified in the McKenna Letter, Criteria 1, 3, 6, and 8, and Planning Commission motion. Conclusions and decision. Based on the foregoing findings of fact and the record identified above, the board concludes the applicant has not demonstrated compliance with the special land use standards in section 12.306 of the zoning ordinance. The board further concludes that denial of the SLU request is a reasonable and lawful exercise of the township's zoning authority and police power to protect the public health, safety, and welfare, and to implement the township's planning policies for Belleville Road corridor and the BROD. That concludes my Motion.
Trustee
Support that motion.
Treasurer Bud. All right, we have a motion by trustee Martin. Thank you, trustee Martin. And we have a motion, a second by treasurer Bud. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. This motion passes, request is denied. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is to consider approval of a Manick and Smith contract for Parks and Recreation Master Planning. Director, could I get a motion for this?
Through the chair,
Trustee Kelly.
I move to consider approval of the Manick and Smith Group, Inc. as the contractor for the 2027 through 2031 Parks and Recreation Master Plan update in the amount of $25,200 to be paid out of account number 101-755-971-000.
Support.
Where'd I get? Clerk Wright, okay. Director, could you tell us about this?
So we are ready to work on our 2027 to 2031 Van Buren Township Parks and Recreation Master Plan update. On behalf of the Van Buren Township Community Services Department, we do recommend that the Van Buren Township Board of Trustees award the 2027 to 2031 Parks and Recreation Master Plan update contract to the Manick and Smith Group Incorporated of Canton, Michigan, in the total amount of $25,200 to be funded from the Park Capital Outlay account 101-755-971-000. Following a thorough review of all the submitted proposals, 3 firms were selected to participate in interviews with a panel. The final recommendation is based on overall cost, feedback from the past client references, and the strength of the interview presentation. During our interview, Mike Hoffenmeister, the project manager with the Manick and Smith Group Incorporated, demonstrated extensive knowledge of national parks and recreation benchmarks and best practices. His experience and approach positioned him well to lead this project and guide the township through a successful planning process. On behalf of the Community Services Department, I respectfully request that the board approve the Manick and Smith Group Incorporated and award contract awardee and authorize the township supervisor and township clerk to execute the agreement. I'm also happy to introduce Lucy Fortin, who would be the community planner from the Manick Smith Group, with us tonight, and let her take on some questions if you have any.
What is the scope of the master plan?
So the scope is they're going to review our past master plan and update it to include, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm going to let Lucy take that in that
There you go.
question.
Good evening. My name is Lucy, and Mike could not be with us tonight. So both of us have a great deal of experience doing Parks and Recreation Master Plan and Master Plan Update. We're delighted that we're being considered by you and delighted to do this with you. The scope of a Parks and Recreation Master Plan is well outlined in MDNR requirements. So they include a community description, a community engagement, and the master plan itself. And
Oh, you're doing it for all of our recreation and all of our parks?
correct.
Okay.
We include the parks and the trail. And I'm also a landscape architect. Mike and I have a love of parks and trails and are well fitted to help you with this. So we're delighted.
All right. I have no other questions. I get confused sometimes because we have numerous different parks and we're going for different grants all the time. So
Right.
we're always having different master plans produced for one specific park, like Van Buren Park. We're doing a master plan
So
for
there's a
that right now.
park-specific plan, and there's an overall Parks and Recreation Master Plan
Yeah.
that really helps, there's certain grants that are dependent on that being approved.
Every time I talk to somebody about getting a park grant, the first thing they say is it in your master plan? And if I can show them that, then yeah, then it's even better if I can show them a set of plans.
Document, yeah.
And if I set a set of plans, now they know that I can spend their money quickly and they can move on to the next guy. But, thank you. We've gotten millions and millions of dollars in parks and recreation grants. And I'd say 10, but it may be closer to 20, and maybe in fact, maybe more than that. If you had an Iron Bell Trail and community center, God, probably got 3 or 4 million on Van Buren Park. We didn't get them before we did master plans. We have to do master plans. So, does anybody have any questions? Yeah. Okay. I have a motion by Trustee Kelly and supported by Clerk Wright. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is to consider approval of Fishback, who will be doing closed-circuit television sanitary sewer inspections, design and administration. Director Lawrence.
Good evening, Board. Fishback will provide the township design, contract document preparation, and the project contract administration services for the final 3 years of our annual CCTV inspection for the township sewer sanitary system. I've worked with Fishback since 2022 of July for year 1 through 4. We started in the north end of the township. We're currently at the South Service Drive, so approving this year 5 through 7 the last 3 years would help us finish from the South Service Drive all the way through the township, from Rosinville to Hannon Road. So this professional service fee would be in the amount of $146,400, which would be paid from the Sewer Department Journal Number 529-537-820000. I recommend approval of this.
Through the chair.
Is Clerk Wright?
Through the chair.
I could make the recommendation to approve of Fishback to perform CCTV sanitary sewer inspection, design, and administration services.
Can I get a second?
Support.
Treasurer Bud. Okay, so we've got a great sanitary sewer system. The reason we do is because the first grant we probably got 10 years ago, $900,000, which we put into finding out what the condition of our sewer system was. And we've been doing it every year, and we've been lining sewer systems that we find, and we find sewers that have bellies and they're not running right. We fix those things, and we fix them right away. Because of that, we've got a pretty darn good sewer system and water system, and that's one of the reasons why we have some of the lowest water rates in Southeast Michigan, and we're going to continue to. So I think we are, if the board votes for it. Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay. Who's going to be doing the actual CCTV?
Out to bid.
Okay, all right. We're not going to do it? Come on, we just bought you a new CCTV.
Sadly, we should be able to continue it on after that.
All right. Okay, I've got a motion by Clerk Wright, supported by Treasurer Bud. Hearing no further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, pretty exciting one. Consider approval of awarding PLM Lake and Land Management Corporation. I'm going to ask Trustee Kelly, since he's the closest to this.
I move to consider approval of awarding PLM Lake and Land Management Corp. A contract to perform aquatic weed treatment on Belleville Lake in the amount of $56,450.
Is it possible to take line item number 5 also?
I also move to consider approval of awarding Aquaweed Control a contract to perform phosphorus inactivation treatment on Belleville Lake in an amount of $14,500.
Thank you. Clerk Wright? All right, Deputy Director.
Board. In fall of 2025, the township hired Progressive A&E to conduct a limnological assessment of Belleville Lake to address invasive species and water quality concerns. The study recommended implementing an aquatic plant control program to reduce invasive species and encourage native plant growth, along with using phosphorus inactivation treatments to improve water clarity and help reduce harmful algae blooms over time. To carry out these recommendations in 2026, the township entered into an agreement with Progressive companies for the lake management consultant services. Their role includes overseeing aquatic plant control, phosphorus treatments, stormwater monitoring, project administration, and providing an annual report and presentation. Bids for the treatment were received on April 20th, 2026, and were reviewed by Progressive. They recommended awarding the bid for aquatic weed control to PLM Lake and Land Management Corp. In the amount of $56,450, and for phosphorus inactivation treatment to Aqua Weed Control, Inc. in the amount of $14,500. The total program will cost $95,650 because it will also include $24,700 for administration, which is not up for consideration with these items, but just so you know the total cost. All contractors are required to obtain permits from Eagle and were vetted for qualifications. The township will fund the first year through the general fund, but we have plans to explore special assessment districts or other options for the lakefront properties to potentially fund this in the future ongoing.
So, okay. So we had about 75 lakefront owners. We had a lake owner meeting here. Clerk Wright and I attended. Was anybody else there? Okay. So we had a complete discussion from the biologists. We have a lot of aquatic weeds that are invasive. They're not from Michigan. They're choking out our lake. We talked about the fact that we've got lily pads that are not endangered, and we can begin removing them, not all of them, but we can begin controlling them and eventually making them so that they're not taking over our lake. We have low oxygen content for our fish. We can begin improving their habitat. We can begin doing all these things. We also talked about the fact that Lake Lansing had the problem, Orient Township, where we got a lot of our learning from on this thing. Orchard Lake, these were dying lakes 10 years ago. But through regular, year in, year out, sustainable programs that built funds to keep on applying this stuff year in and year out, you can't stop. Within 2 or 3 years, they started coming back. In 3 and 4 years, they were in very good condition. We're hoping to get it to that. I'm going to be asking for some board workshops, and we're going to be assigning an intern to help us develop a sustainable program to last for decades in Van Buren Township, in conjunction with the input from the Board of Trustees and the approval, because nothing happens without the approval of the Board of Trustees. We hope to develop a sustainable, lifetime solution to improving our lake quality. It takes 30 days to get a permit. By approving this today, May 5th, we assume that we're going to be doing our first application in June. And we wanted to make sure we didn't lose another year on fixing this lake up, because it is in trouble. And the weeds are just taking over, and we've got to stop that. We don't want to lose it. This board's always agreed that it's their number one asset. Every time we do a survey with the community, it's always our number one asset. Whenever we talk to regional leaders, we're always the township that's got the lake. So it defines us, and we don't want it to define us as a junky lake. Any questions or comments? No?
It'd be good to see it cleaned up. That's
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you. I have a motion here by Trustee Kelly, supported by Clerk Wright, for line items number 4 and 5. Hearing no further questions, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. I'm really excited to start getting that lake moving. Line item number 6. This is a second reading of an ordinance for a zoning amendment change for the maximum cul-de-sac length in site condo development. I'm not going to, do I take a motion on that, or just, yeah?
Yep.
Yes. You started this, so would you like to make it?
Yep. I would make a motion, we approve the second reading of ordinance 040726, parent 1, which is a zoning ordinance amendment to change the maximum cul-de-sac length in site condominium developments.
Can I get support?
Support.
Mr. Boynton? Trustee Boynton. Director Akers, could you take it away?
So this is the second reading of an ordinance amendment. What the ordinance amendment does is it reduces the allowable cul-de-sac length in a site condominium from 1,200 feet down to 600 feet. The 600 feet was determined because that would make it consistent with our subdivision ordinance. That is the change in a nutshell. I'm happy to answer any questions if the board has any.
What is the problem with the 1,200-foot cul-de-sac? I just want to know. I want the public to know.
So there's concerns, cul-de-sacs typically only have one access. So there's concerns with emergency services. If you have a longer cul-de-sac length and you have, an emergency or something occurs that blocks access at the beginning, it would effectively cut off, potentially dozens of homes. So reducing the cul-de-sac length, limits the number of homes that are built out and mitigates the risk.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? No? No? Okay, I've got a motion by Treasurer Bud, supported by Trustee Boynton. This is a second ordinance. It becomes a law after this vote, so it requires a roll call vote.
It does. All right, Trustee Kelly.
Yes.
Trustee Boynton. Yes. Trustee Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Frazier. Yes for me. Treasurer Bud.
Yes.
Supervisor.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, again, we have a second reading of another ordinance, which is a zoning ordinance amendment to change the zoning regulations pertaining to car wash developments. Again, it's a second reading, so we'll require a roll call vote. Can I get a motion, though?
Through the chair, I make a motion, we approve the second reading of ordinance 040726, parent 2, which is a zoning ordinance amendment to change the zoning regulations pertaining to car wash developments.
Support.
Trustee Boynton. Director Akers.
So we have seen a lot of interest in car washes as of recent. We did have the application earlier today. We've had a number of conversations before with other developers who are interested in installing car washes. So the Board of Trustees on October 7th, 2025 passed a resolution which established a moratorium on new applications to give us the opportunity, and the Planning Commission the opportunity, to look at our current standards and do some updates to them to address the concerns that some of the newer car washes are having. So the ordinance amendment does a number of things, including add site development standards. Specifically, it adds minimum lot area, some additional setbacks, additional separation distance, so that way two car washes can't be too close to one another. It also adds, requirements for noise compliance. With a lot of the newer car washes have, vacuums that run 24/7. So we have some standards in there to ensure that the Planning Commission is getting the information necessary to ensure that there are not going to be problems on adjacent properties. So this is the second reading. I'm happy to answer any additional questions that the Township Board may have about the request, but effectively it adds some additional site development standards for car washes.
Are there any questions from the board? I have a motion by Treasurer Bud, supported by Trustee Boynton. I hearing no further questions. Clerk, could you call the roll to make this a law?
Yes. Trustee Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Frazier.
Yes.
Trustee Boynton. Yes. Trustee Kelly. Yes. Treasurer Bud.
Yes.
Yes for me. Supervisor.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Director. Next item is to consider approval of first reading. This is an ordinance to update your Ypsilanti Communities Utility Authority sanitary sewer rules per their agreement with them. Can I get a motion?
Through the chair, I move that we approve of the first reading of ordinance 05-05-26, parent 1, which is an ordinance to update our Ypsilanti County Utilities Authority sanitation sewer rules per the requirements of our agreement with Yucca.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Support.
Clerk Wright. Director Akers.
Thank you. So there is a small portion of Van Buren Township that discharges their sanitary sewer to the Yucca wastewater treatment plant, which is on the west side of Willow Run Airport. As a part of our agreement with Yucca, we are required to enact sewer ordinance revisions within 90 days of receiving notification that its member communities, which are Ypsilanti Township and the city of Ypsilanti, have revised their ordinances. So we were notified in January of 2025 that they had revised their ordinance, and due to this, we're required to do the same. So per the notice that they had provided, the proposed revisions have been necessitated by a few substantial modifications of certain compatible pollutants, MPDES permit requirements, requirements to control emerging contaminants of concern, and certain reevaluated toxic pollutant parameters. So these parameters have also been reviewed and approved by the state of Michigan through Eagle. So we don't have any industrial properties right now in the township that do discharge to Yucca currently. Due to this, it's unlikely that any properties of the township are going to be affected by it. So what this does is there's certain standard that each wastewater treatment plant requires us to have. Each wastewater treatment plant has what's called an industrial pollution prevention program. So what they'll do is they will monitor and permit if you have a new industrial user come online to make sure that the wastewater treatment plant can handle, if there's any chemicals or processed water or something coming out of that wastewater treatment plant. So effectively, that's what these standards do. But we are contractually obligated to adopt them. The changes are in your board packet. There's a clean version, then there's a marked up version which show what all the changes are. We did have our engineering consultants take a look at this, and there wasn't any items on there that they had addressed concerns with as well. So that concludes my summary, and I'm happy to answer questions the board has.
Any questions?
Chair, I'd like to correct my motion and state the correct name, which is Ypsilanti Communities Utility Authority.
Is it? Okay.
Counties.
All right, we always call it Yucca, everybody does. All right. Okay, we've got a motion by trustee Boynton, supported by clerk Wright. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This motion passes and we'll go to a second reading. Next item is to consider approval of first reading again, which is well, you guys have been busy, which is an amendment to the Van Buren Township ordinance regarding temporary land use approvals for fireworks tents. Can I get a motion?
To the chair.
Trustee Martin?
I think I got my voice back.
Yeah, that was quite a,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 05-05-26, parent 2, which is an amendment to the Van Buren Township zoning ordinance regarding temporary land use approvals for firework tents.
thank you.
Support.
Trustee Bud?
With the
Okay, Treasurer Bud. Director?
So in the Van Buren Township zoning ordinance, we have provisions for temporary land uses, and fireworks tents that are allowed by law fall under those standards. The way our ordinance is set up is that, currently if it's less than 7 days or 2 consecutive weekends, we can review them administratively. If it's more than that, it has to go to the Planning Commission for consideration. So what has ended up happening is we have certain applications where they've had firework tents on Belleville Road where they've come to the Planning Commission, 10 or 11 consecutive years, and their site layout hasn't changed. So what this ordinance amendment does is it essentially, if nothing changes with some of those applications, it allows us to consider and review them administratively. So that way we don't have to take them to the Planning Commission anymore. This was done at the request of the Planning Commissioners. It was a pretty simple, easy amendment, and that is what is before you today. So happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Helping out the Planning Commission. Okay. All right. I've got a motion by trustee Martin, supported by treasurer Bud. Hearing no further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? This motion passes. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Board.
We have no reports to bring forward. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to make comment? Is there anybody from the public that wishes to make comment? Do we have online comment? A couple.
I missed my time for announcements. This is my first public comment. Thank you, board. So I'm here just to present an announcement for recreation programmer Jennifer Zangline. She wanted to be here but was unable. So VBT Recreation has received awarded funding for additional archery equipment. through the National Wild Turkey Federation in the amount of $1,086.95. So add that
Okay.
on to our $25 million in community services grants. So this funding will be used for new bows, targets, and equipment. It will be used by our archery classes and future sessions. We are receiving 3 new bows for kids, additional targets, and a portable rack for bows. So we had our friends and family demo back in January for the archery classes. They had a March winter archery class. We're taking the summer off to do some summer programming. And then we're back Tuesdays in September, and we're going to do a youth class, an adult class, and also a senior class. So that's being added. So just some happy news. Thank you.
That is great news. Thank you. Thank you.
The wild turkeys.
Yeah, I love that. I really love it when I hear directors and deputy directors out there getting grants. That is, I love it. Thank you. We have online comment. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, board. I'll be reading a digital public comment received on April 15th. Subject line, formal objection, project cannoli development, 44970 Bemis Road residents. Okay. Dear Van Buren Township Board of Trustees and Planning Department, I'm writing to formally record my opposition to the current development plans for Project Cannoli. As a resident and project property owner of 44970 Bemis Road, I am located directly on the southern perimeter of the project, this proposed 280-acre hyperscale data center. While preliminary approvals have been discussed, I am requesting the Board of Trustees withhold the final development agreement until the following concerns, which directly impact my home and professional livelihood, are addressed. Bullet points: acoustic health and noise pollution. As a healthcare professional, I am acutely aware of the physiological impacts of low frequency, 24/7 industrial noise. I demand the township require the developer to install permanent real-time decibel monitoring at the Bemis Road property line with a legally binding cap that does not exceed current ambient rural noise levels. Infrastructure and utility stability. This 1 gigawatt facility poses a massive risk to the local grid reliability. I'm requesting a formal written guarantee that residents on Bemis Road will not experience service interruptions, brownouts, or increased utility costs to subsidize the infrastructure required for this site. Water pressure security. A facility of this scale consumes millions of gallons of water daily. I require proof that the township has conducted a localized pressure study to ensure my property's water service will not be degraded. Environmental preservation. This project involves the destruction of roughly 10 acres of wetlands. As a resident who values the botanical integrity of our area, I urge the township to prioritize the protection of these natural buffers that separate my home from this industrial zone. I expect these concerns to be entered into the public record for the upcoming April 21st, 2016 Board of Trustees meeting. I look forward to your response regarding how you plan to protect the residents who will be most affected by this expansion. Sincerely, Jennifer Cox, 44970 Bemis Road, Belleville, Michigan 48111. So that's the end of the statement, and I'll, just as my personal side note, I did email this resident back and let her know that that meeting cited in the letter of April 21st was subject to be canceled, which it was, and that it would be read at the next meeting.
As we do with every single comment we get, it goes to Director Akers. He reviews that the frequently asked questions was covering that. If it wasn't covering it, we come up with an answer and add it to our frequently asked questions. And answers, if we don't have an answer to it, then we've got a problem. But I think all those questions are already in there. Yeah.
The public comment was shared with the clerk's office to be officially recorded.
Yeah, and we follow that. We follow the rules. That's, yeah. Okay. Does anybody else from the public that wishes to make comment? Anybody from the board that wishes to make comment? Hearing none, can I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I have a motion, second. Support, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.